So let's talk about our Kenra Color Permanent. Kenra Color Permanent and Demi-Permanent are both going to offer you the benefits of the Balancing Complex 5. But what are some reasons you can think of that we would choose one over the other? Right, full gray coverage and maximum coverage. The Kenra Color portfolio offers a wide variety of shades in both warm and cool tones to make sure that you can meet the needs of every client with consistent and reliable results. The portfolio includes 22 tonal families, including boosters and high lifts. We also have 4 dedicated developers that are calibrated with special buffers and conditioners made specifically to work with the pigments of Kenra Color. And they make sure that you receive all the attributes of Balancing Complex 5. You're gonna maintain integrity, and you're gonna have intense shine in that hair. So it's important to understand how to choose the right developer when you're formulating for your client. Our developers may be just a little bit different than what you're used to because they were meant to work with Kenra Color. So first we have our 10 volume. Our 10 volume is deposit only. Our 20 volume is going to offer you 1 level of lift and or gray coverage for your clients. Our 30 volume is going to give you 2 to 3 levels of lift depending on the texture and density of your client's hair. Our 40 volume is going to give you 3 to 4 levels of lift depending on the texture and density of your client's hair. Our mixing ratio is 1 to 1. That's 1 part color to 1 part developer. That would be 1 ounce of color, 1 ounce of developer, 30 grams to 30 grams, whatever measurement you use for your color. Standard processing time is 30 minutes. If you're looking for gray coverage, you want to process for 40 minutes just to give that pigment time to really work and give you that maximum coverage. So let's park here for a second and talk about hair texture. I made a chart. So if you notice, I know you probably noticed on the, when we were talking about the levels, that, okay, with 30 I can get 2 to 3, and with 40 I can get 3 to 4. So why is that? That would depend on the texture of your client's hair. The texture is the diameter of the hair strand. So coarse hair obviously has more surface area, so you're going to need a little bit more pigment. So that's where you're going to get that 3 to 4 levels of lift with your 40 volume. Fine hair doesn't need as much lift because it doesn't have as much surface area. So that's where you can get that 2 levels of lift with your 30 or your 3 levels of lift with your 40. But you definitely want to make sure that you want to make sure that you use the correct developer. So with that said, which do you think you would need, 30 or 40 volume, to shift out more pigment on coarse hair? Right, 40 volume is what you're going to need to get that 3 levels of lift on coarse hair. But with finer hair, that 30 volume is going to give you, as far as lift, it's going to give you, shoot, I just forgot. I forgot where I was. I forgot what I was saying. I'm sorry. But we'll talk more about developers once we talk about gray coverage. So let's put this away for now. So we talked about our mixing ratios, which is 1 to 1. Processing time standard is 30 minutes, 40 minutes for gray coverage. You always want to make sure you process at room temperature. You don't want to use heat, any kind of heat source, steamer, or accelerator drops, because then you're compromising the Balancing Complex 5 and your client isn't getting the full benefit of that. So you definitely want to process at room temperature so that we can maintain that gentle formulation. Kenra Color Permanent is a low ammonia, super gentle color, and we want to keep it that way. So let's do some formulas. That'll be fun. So you can follow along. Where's my book? You can follow along in your color manuals on page 16. So let's do some formulations, standard hair color formulations. Our first one, client is a natural level 4, and her desired level is a 5B. So we know, and since we're only lifting one level, we don't have to factor in that underlying pigment. That only comes into play when you're lifting 2 or more levels, and that's when you're exposing that underlying pigment. She has 0% gray, so on that. We know we're only lifting one level, so we need 20 volume developer. So our formula for this client is going to be 1 ounce of 5B to 1 ounce of 20 volume. Easy, right? Super easy. So let's do another one. Our next client is a level 7, and she wants to be a 6RB. Oh, that's great. She has 0% gray, and we know at a level 7 we're going to expose that gold. It's not necessarily relevant right now, but it's still nice to know that underlying pigment. So because we are taking her from a 7 to a 6, we know that we only need deposit. So for deposit, we're going to use our 10 volume. And let's get our formula. She has 0% gray. So we're going to do 1 ounce of our 6RB to 1 ounce of our 10 volume. I'm going to move this over. There we go. Awesome. Who's ready for another one? Okay, our next client is a level 4, and she wants to be a 5G. Now we're gonna mix it up this time. Let's say she's got 50% gray. Let's really stretch a little bit here. So our underlying pigment doesn't come into play because we're only lifting one level again. So if she has 50% gray, we already know that we need 20 volume. Also because we're only lifting one level. So we're using 20 volume developer. Now at 50% gray, we know that half of our formula needs to be 5N. Needs to be our N series. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to give it away. So we're going to do a 1/2 ounce of 5N, a 1/2 ounce of 5G, which is really pretty, by the way. Don't be afraid of the G's. We're also going to add 1 ounce of our 20 volume developer. Because 1/2 and 1/2 makes 1, we need to even it out with the developer. So we get our 1 to 1. She's going to process for 40 minutes because she has gray hair. I like to call it mature hair because clients don't want to hear that they have gray hair. So just call it mature hair. They love it. So let's really switch it up a little bit. Let's do something fun. Let's take everything into effect. Pull everything except gray coverage. So our client is a level 4, natural level 4. and she wants to be a 7B. So that underlying pigment comes into play now, and we know at a level 7 that underlying pigment is gold. So thinking about the color wheel, we know that we need to counteract that gold so that she can get that pretty level 7B. We're lifting 3 levels. We're lifting 3 levels, and she has 0% gray. So if we're lifting 3 levels, let's say she has coarse hair. So we're going to use our 40 volume so that we get that 3 to 4 levels of that 3 levels of lift on her coarse hair. So we know that we need something to balance out that gold. So half of our formula is going to be 7A. The other half is going to be that 7B. And then we're going to do 1 ounce of our 40 volume. Now because she has 0 gray, she's going to process for 30 minutes. Right? It's easy. Quick, quick. Okay. So let's do a little extra credit here. Our client's a natural level 5. Oh wait, that's not a 5. 5, and she wants to be a 7RR. She's got 50% gray. I couldn't make it easy, right? I need to stretch you a little bit. Now, because we are lifting 2 levels, we do want to think about that underlying pigment. And at a level 7, we know that underlying pigment is going to be orange. Now, we want to factor in the fact that she's 50% gray. So half of our formula needs to be part of our N series. And we're also lifting 2 levels. So we know we need our 30 volume developer. So we're going to do half an ounce of 7N, half an ounce of our 7RR, and then 1 ounce of our 30 volume. Everybody with me? Sweet. Okay. I've got another one. Okay. So our client is a natural level 1, and she wants to be a 3BR. This one is near and dear to me because this is actually me. This is my formula, so this is what I want. I love it. The client has 25% gray. Now, because we're lifting 2 levels, we still want to think about that underlying pigment. And we know at a level 3, that's going to be dark red orange. So we need 2 levels of lift. The client has coarse hair. So we need our 30 volume. Now we know that a quarter of that formula needs to be from our N series. So we're going to do 1/4 of our 3N so that we get that good gray coverage. And the other 3/4 of our formula is going to be that 3VR. And then we're going to do 1 ounce of our 30 volume. Now because she has gray, we want to process her for 40 minutes. So this is what I'm going to do on my hair. It's going to be cute. I can't wait. All right, let's do a couple more. Your client is a natural level 8. She wants to be a 10B. She has 0% gray. And we know that at a level 10, that underlying pigment that's exposed is going to be light gold. So we definitely want to take that into effect. In order to neutralize that gold, we're going to need our ash series. So we're going to do half and half. We're going to do 1/2 ounce of our 10A, a 1/2 ounce of our 10B, and we're lifting 2 levels, so we want to use our 30 volume So we're going to do 1 ounce of 30 volume developer. And since they don't have gray, we're going to process for 30 minutes. All right. Let's do one more just to make sure we're all on the same page. So our last one, our client is a natural level 3. And she is living for that 6BC, like she's loving it. She's got 75% gray. Yeah, I'm stretching it on this one. And we know that underlying pigment is orange at a level 6. She wants that beautiful primary brown with that copper reflection. So we know we're lifting 3 levels. So we're going to need our 40 volume. Now because 75%, she's got 75% gray, we know that 75% of our formula needs to be our N series. So we're going to do 3/4 of our 6N and then 1/4 of our 6BC. And that gives us 1 ounce of our 40 volume developer. And we're going to process her because she has gray. We're going to process her 40 minutes at room temperature. Isn't that easy? Like, they couldn't make that any easier, right? I love it.